Hello. In the midst of the IPL 2022 fervor, there's a young Indian 20-year-old who makes the finals of the All England Badminton Championships. How's that for shifting the attention to sports other than cricket?
Yeah, Hrishi. Yes, I guess you're talking about Lakshya Sen. And I'm sure it's in his name as well. Lakshya means destination, target, whatever you have. And if there's one show and podcast that gives us a very fine example of these qualities, it's this one. And all the CEOs we interview have moved mountains to make sure their companies achieve their ultimate aim or destination, and then they promptly redefine their targets.
Yes, seems like you. Achieving a target, redefining those targets, which is what we love about you. Well said, Ramesh. You could easily be talking about our guest today. I mean, he keeps a sharp eye open for new and upcoming technologies, weaves unique service offerings around them to create innovative service line products and potential markets.
And as a senior IT leader, he carries over 2 decades of experience in building and leading global high-performance teams for driving sustained business growth and creating shareholder value. Please welcome Anand Sahay, co-founder and CEO of Xebia Global Services. Hi Anand, nice to meet you. Hope all well, post-COVID and so on.
All good, Ramesh. Thanks for this. And nice to meet you, Hrishi K.
Same here. Let's start with the basics for the uninitiated. Tell us what Xebia does, Anand.
Well, so we are, a niche IT service provider, who do new age IT services for our customers worldwide. We are primarily a Dutch firm, so we co-founded in Netherlands, and obviously India being a major hub, no company can survive in the IT world without having base in India. So that's how we have been, and primarily. We work on digitization of various, processes for multiple Fortune companies in the world, using the latest and greatest on technology side.
Great. Just out of sheer curiosity, I'm sure you have clients in different sectors, BFSI, healthcare, aviation, and whatnot. How is it different for each of these sectors, and how different is it? And more importantly, what is their motive for employing digital transformation?
Interestingly, almost, at least I can tell you from the pandemic onwards, almost everybody realized that once everything closes, what do you do? So you have to basically digitize to allow people to come in and take your services or consume your services from the internet, and that requires technology, right? And the minute you use internet, suddenly you have a problem of scale. Right? It's a natural. I mean, it's not about having 20 people coming and taking your services. You want unlimited amount of people to take your services if that's possible. And that's digitization and relooking at your processes, because historically, you would just think about a customer coming in, calling in or something and taking your services. Now you have to not only entice him, allow him to come in, you have to relook at almost everything, what you did, before this whole pandemic. So that's what we do. That's what we help consult, and also not only consult it, blueprint it, but also then make it happen.
I believe you started your career at TCS, Anand.
Yeah.
How did you then end up working for a Dutch company, which is what Xebia is? You just mentioned it, and then of course the great stuff, which is expanding the business outside of the Netherlands.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a very interesting story. So I, after passing out my BTech from BITS, I joined TCS, went to Mumbai, was doing my own, actually I started my career within TCS and started working for Stockholding Corporation. So I was in the financial world, which was very interesting. And after that, I got an opportunity to move to US. And actually at that time, and I'm talking 1997 when I started my career, and 2000 when, the whole thing of, let's go abroad and see what's going to happen. So I went there. To do technology again. And then I, decided to, let's do some studies. So I went to Duke to do my MBA. And, after you do your MBA, every techie somehow turns into either a business development manager or some kind of a guy who's interacting with customers, right? Revenue focus. And that is how I shifted into more sales activity. And again, I love technology. I mean, that was a good part. I always loved technology because of the engineering background. So even after my master's, I I went into sales, but started selling IT services again, right? And loved that whole thing. I stayed till 2011 in US, just selling IT services all around the world. And the motivation was that I love technology. I'm able to speak technology. I'm able to convince people that why they should use the technology. And that's how I, worked till 2011, came back to India. And came back to India, I actually joined the Indigo Airlines IT, which was called Interglobe. And just to do, a lot of, again, technology in the airline. And 2013, I ran into the founder of Xebia, the original founder. And Xebia was a very small firm at that time. And he was thinking that, we are a small firm in Netherlands, we need to go global. And we have heard that, India is the next thing where if you want to go global, you have to first come to India. And that's how I ran into him. And then I co-founded the Xebia's global business with him. And from there on, it was a phenomenal journey for us. From about 50 people to now over 4,000 people. And in pretty much, 8 years across the world, it's been an interesting journey.
And most of them sitting in India, I'm assuming.
No, about 2,000 in India and 2,000 worldwide. So almost 1,200 people in Europe.
Oh, brilliant. So what is it about Indian engineers or Indian teams that you have that makes Xebia a unique proposition in India and completely differentiates itself from other software firms all worldwide?
It was, early on in the world of technology, one thing which not many people realize, obviously technologists do, is how do you structure technology? How do you architect a technology? I mean, you can take an analogy with a architect for home. If you don't architect it properly in the beginning, it will go bad, right? I mean, you can then keep fixing it. A good technology is all about architecting and blueprinting it right in the beginning. And that's how Xebia started in Netherlands. We were a architecture consulting firm, just helping people think through how to architect it. And it's a higher end game. What you realize is, even if you put good architecture, if the guys who build it are also not good, the end result is not very far away. And so we started as an architecture firm, then became very well aware that, just architecting won't help, we have to build it. And that's when India became important, because to build, you need scale, right? But you need quality scale. You need high-end guys. You need to train people smarter and hire smarter people. I think that's what has differentiated us all around. I mean, our ability not only to understand what it takes to architect, but also what it takes, what kind of engineers are required to build it, and the practices which are important for those people to learn has completely differentiated us.
Okay, so now from whatever you said, I figured out that architecture and data engineering are two areas you're really big on, Anand. But I would like to know from you key areas that Xebia is focusing on now, given that you have this wealth of architecture and data engineering.
So, we have, a concept of, 6 pillars, right, on which we are working on technology. The first one is the way we started, architecture consulting, anything consulting. You want data, you need consultants first. How do you think through your data? How do you monetize your data? How can the data be in the center of your strategy? The second big thing for us is cloud. Everything is going on cloud. I mean, digitization, one of the fundamentals is cloud. So how do you think about cloud technology, cloud native development, infrastructure on cloud? How can you have cloud health? So we are very strong in the whole space of cloud. Thirdly, you have to get into data. So as you said, so third is the data. The fourth is pure software development, right? I mean, how do you develop a software with data in the center and the software on the cloud? This is a complete different field. We also call it full stack engineering. So that's our fourth field. The fifth is we have taken a call that we will use all Microsoft technology because it has such a nice series of things which they develop, which comes together. So we actually have a practice of Microsoft as sort of standalone. And the sixth and the most important, which we have started and which is going to be the future, is what our bets are, is something called low code. So for quite some time, high code, which is what you call, using Java and all technology jargons which are there. There's a new initiative happening in the world called low code, which is code will get generated. What you need to get your business running, it should be more drag and drop. You don't need big engineers. It will automatically write it. And that's the sixth area where we have really, really gone deeper into.
Yeah. So now that we've understood what you focus on, how difficult was it, Anand, to attract, hire, and retain high-quality talent in the early part of your company's growth?
And that was difficult. That's the best way to put it. I think it's also about exciting people with your story, right? Why? What we believe in. So good technologists will automatically get attracted when they hear certain language, the certain principles and values, which you feel that this is what we want to build. I think that story is what led us to attract some of our core people in the beginning. And then it sort of is a strange thing. You get one great guy, he brings 5 more. So it's sort of an avalanche kind of a phenomena. But it was brick by brick. I think that's the best way. I mean, we were talking in conferences, we were going to conferences, finding those guys who were passionate about technology, reaching out to them, saying, so I spent hours. I mean, if you ask me, sometimes I worry if what I really did. I was just trying to find out people and then having intense conversations with them. It doesn't happen overnight. And then few people believe in your story. And so it was brick by brick. But yeah, it became easier as it went by.
Now, would you agree with me when I say that the Infotech business is becoming more in the moment, in the here and now than ever before, and that it's not really easy to execute long-term planning?
So I think what you are basically saying is that everybody now wants whatever they want now, right?
True.
It is true. I mean, that's how it is. But that's how the evolution of technology is also happening, allowing such kind of near real-time ability to serve your customers. That's where the world is going. I mean, you have all these Swiggies and everybody. It's a near real-time game, and your technology has to cater to that. That's digitization of your process. That's adopting the right set of technology. If you don't do that, it won't work.
Wonderful.
The world seems, Anand, the world seems to have gone crazy about automation, with many early movers exploring use cases for AI, robotics, industrial IoT, among a plethora of other technologies. Isn't there a need today, Anand, especially in India, for an approach that sort of strikes a balance between the old world and this rapid automation that we are hearing, at least? I don't know whether I'm seeing it.
Yeah, no, I think rapid automation is happening, Ramesh. You don't have a choice. I mean, if you want, as we just heard, Hrishi K was asking, everybody wants what they want now. The old will fade away. I mean, there are other social issues which will come. That's, I will not go there. But it's a survival of the business. Every business has to think in those lines. Otherwise, you will just lose it. I mean, right from booking a ticket to getting an information to make a call, everything is near real time. So hyper automation and AI is a natural outcome. I mean, you cannot make decisions by keeping people behind to analyze data in near real time. So you have to adopt all these algorithms or machine engineering or machine languages for them to, take those decisions. And the amount of data they can crunch, they can potentially take a decision faster than a human being. So it's going to come in. I don't think it's going to stop. Ethics of AI and all that, I'm sure as humans, we will make those calls, but I don't think we can stop it.
Since you mentioned Microsoft very briefly at the top, I believe you joined hands with Microsoft last month for what you call, quote unquote, a blogathon. Tell us what that was all about. I mean, one is social media bloggers, but I tell you this, I read some techies and their blogs. They're really creative.
Oh, yeah. So, a lot of techies, Hrishi K, are very, generally introvert, right?
True.
But they have all these creative juices flowing, right? So what do? Right. That's what they do. So if you can, harness the power of these platforms which are available for them to write, and not only write, but also hear feedback that, or further extension to their thoughts. That's the community which is actually extending the world, extending the technology world, right? And it's called, sometimes you also hear something called, open source groups. That's how it builds. So for us, most of our techies, they're high end, they love blogging, they love podcasting also, but then there are more who just want to do blogging, write in the night something, or put a code out there for others to comment. And that's what we wanted to further take it up. So Microsoft also believes in it. They have a great platform in GitHub. And we said, okay, let's do something together. And obviously with everything, not only it creates good content, but at the same time, it also gave us ideas about some very, brilliant topics about how people are even perceiving it. It also helps us in our research to some extent. So something we are going to do yearly now.
Brilliant. I absolutely agree, actually. But there's, in my mind, there's no doubt initiatives like Blockathon, etc., help students to showcase their skills.
Yeah.
And, at that level, it was always, great and gave the right exposure to them. But what about seasoned professionals, developers, leaders? How does it help them? And anything like this has to flow both ways, right? So how does it work?
When I use the word Blockathon, Ramesh, it's for everyone. Here's the thing. The speed of change of technology is so high. So senior and seasoned means very less, right? You have experience. So Blockathon is for everyone, but this one we ran for students or even for younger generations. But the good bloggers in the technology world is something we follow. There's a huge followership. I follow all the great blogs coming out of all the key guys, right, in the world of technology for me to learn. It's there for seniors to learn. Content is there for them to learn and understand how the world is moving, and also add to it their experience. They can always add to it. So it's for all. Anybody who has those creative juices flowing doesn't have a choice but to get there. That's what I have seen.
So, just to prep for this interview, I was just doing some essential reading. I find your world, which is the world of Infotech, so exciting. And a very interesting number came up, Anand. It says, it's according to Morgan Stanley. They say that IT spending for US companies continue to be the dominant driver of growth accelerations.
Yes.
And the US spending is on track to increase 4.7% in 2022. Does that mean there's more business for you? And how are you reacting to this data?
Oh, yeah. If you look at our own spend, the maximum spend is on the US market. US by and large forever has been the largest market for technology, followed by UK, and then you have Western Europe and others. So US is a huge option. The way, and the great part why US is also very near to us is because their adoption of new technology or taking risk is also bet on the front end, right? It's costly in the beginning, but they take those risks, and that's where we want to play. We always call ourselves mainstream front runners. Always look for what is new. Don't always, talk about what is very stable. So we really push the boundaries there.
Brilliant. With people and data from all over the world accessing enterprise systems and data around the clock, cybersecurity has become an intricate thing, and it's an important thing, right? How are you redefining cybersecurity at Xebia?
Yeah. So there's a concept called shift left in the world of technology, which means whatever is important while writing your software, those principles of how to secure everything should shift towards writing it and not becoming something that you test something once it is written to see if it's secure or not. So for us, every line of code has to be checked on its security loopholes when it is written. So we have all those practices and tools so that a guy cannot write something which is like so vulnerable, and then it is caught later after 6 months when the software is in production. So security is going to be huge. Cybersecurity, it's a very large area also now. So it's no more a very small kind of a thing, because right from infrastructure to the code, and then it is on cloud, and the data can leak. So there's a security at every level now. And we are pretty much pushing the boundaries there. we are very well known. I mean, we are running some of the OWASP, which is the open source of the security. We are involved there.
Now, at HT Media, as part of our brand Health Shots, in fact, Ramesh is very passionate about this project. We started a campaign called She Slays Anand a couple of years ago. And you guys started something known as #SheTalksTech.
Yeah.
That sounds very meaningful. Tell us about it.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm always confused about this diversity side. Somehow, we have been trying to increase the women in the technology, and we are actually not that bad. We are almost 25% women techies in the firm. But we clearly see, women, when they build an application, there is a female side to it, which is useful, right? The way they look at the world, there is a difference, right? So we want to push more women technology. We see there's an advantage for our customers to do it. There are some selfish ideas also. Women stick with a company longer. Don't want to be called out on that, but we want to really promote, and that's when we started SheTalkTech, because we thought all the women who are passionate about technology and want to talk about tech, blog about tech, they should get excited by this idea that she talks tech, and it really gave us a lot of advantage. We ran a lot of hiring drives also on that, inviting women to be part of our women talking about tech and their life, how they can manage all aspects of their life. And, it worked very well. Actually, our women workforce in India has considerably grown in the last 3 years.
Great. Yeah. SheTalksTech, that's a good one. What about mergers and acquisitions? A year ago, I remember reading PGS Software, a leading Polish company, was one that you acquired. Yeah. Anything else that's happening on this front?
Well, yeah. So 2021 was the first year when we also decided to acquire firms. So our concept became not only build our own firm, but also buy few. The speed at which the world is digitizing, you are never ready for everything to offer. So it was important to pick some. So PGS Software was a listed company in Polish stock exchange. And we decided, and we just loved them because of the kind of things they do, some 900 people in Poland. We thought, hey, near shore, for our American customers, it will be great. For our Western European customers, it will be great. So we must have it. And obviously, it was very competitive. And in the COVID times, I was basically on the video, doing all those investor calls and explaining to them to sell all their shares to us. So that was very interesting, but it was an interesting buy. Apart from that, we bought Dutch cloud companies. One is Oblivion, which is one of the topmost companies for AWS in Benelux. Then we bought G Company, which is a Google cloud company in Netherlands, very, very well known. And we bought one Indo-Dutch company called CMIT, Co-Make IT, which is in outsourced product development. So a lot of ISPs want somebody to build a software, a product for them because they just want to solve a world problem. So we bought them. They are headquartered in Netherlands, but the largest team is sitting in Hyderabad. And finally bought a low-code company, and that is the most exciting one for me. It was in the backyard. I live in Delhi, and it was in Jaipur. And I got the recommendation from Europe about that company. There's one of the finest companies in the world of low-code, especially Appian and Salesforce, and that we acquired 2021 February.
Personal development and growth of your people.
Yes.
Is Xebia investing heavily in the knowledge sharing and refinement of skills of employees? If so, I'd like you to talk about that, Anand.
See, this concept of knowledge sharing in Xebia, there's something called XKE, Xebia Knowledge Exchange. And we started in 2004. The idea was good techies, when they talk to each other after they finish their work about what they learned, what new they are reading, it becomes very exciting. So from 2004 till now, around the world, in every region and every office, every other week we have this XK, which starts, different countries start at different times, but in India, we started at 5 and ended at 7. All the techies will get together, have this discussion. Even some of them are coding together. They are talking. And it is also, by the way, because in the COVID period, we also made sure it is available online. And then it ends with nice food and dinner for people to also mix, because mixing of technologies has brilliant side effects, right? So that's so important to us as a principle. But the speed of change of technology will force every company to spend a lot of money in learning and development if you want your guys to really make a difference to your customers. They have to keep on reinventing, keep on learning the new technology, because even a small differentiator is too huge to miss when you are actually building something for a mission critical application. So that's what the idea is.
Absolutely true. Now, just another thing on your partnership with Swiss Q of Switzerland.
Yes.
How has that benefited you, and what does it mean when you say you have integrated your services?
So, we have been watching Swiss market for quite some time, and Swiss market outsources to India, they outsource to Poland, they outsource to some of the other, Ukrainian and other countries. And we always thought that they look for high-end technical consulting and development, and that's what we are. So we thought we must get there, but the Swiss customers love to have a Swiss company in between. It's more of, what is the local, what is your local presence? And Swiss Q is one of the best known companies in the technology transformation kind of work. And it's not a very big company, 120 Swiss guys. And we knew them, they knew us, we had met them before. So we decided to, spend some time, and they said, hey, we would love to be partnering with you. And that's how we came on board. They have just come on board, to be honest. And now we feel that quite a lot of Swiss customers would be very happy to find a local company which has the ability to scale on the quality parameters. And that's why this was an important buy.
Okay, now put on your career counselor or headhunter's hat for this one, Anand.
Yeah.
What are the most in-demand tech skills for 2022 and beyond?
So see, beyond is sometimes too difficult. Although I'll take a shot, how does it matter? But anything and everything related to data, anything and everything related to cloud, and anything and everything related to infrastructure as a code is going to be big, right? This is now. You need to be good now. Then there are things coming, but the three things which I talked to you will continue to be the baseline for it. The things which are coming is blockchain, right? It can lead to anywhere. We are already talking about all the NFTs and everything else, but it will go somewhere, right? That whole technology is coming in. If you data well, then extreme AI, these high-end AI is going to take a new turn. This whole cognitive will take a new turn. How it will take, what all it will go, the processing is available now, right? So I think, and you must have seen and heard all the deep fakes, the amount of things you can do. I think a lot of things on the AI side will happen. Now, if quantum computing also picks up, it changes completely everything related to processing forever. So if you really want to think ahead, if quantum computing comes, I think the world will look so different, completely different, and it will get disrupted. So that's what I am tracking so far.
A lot of people can talk about DevOps as this new role and also as a software engineering culture and practice, right?
Yes.
Talk about the role of Xebia in establishing it in its true form over the last few years in India.
On the DevOps side, right? So see, we are early adopters. So you have to understand DevOps in a context of Agile. We picked up Agile software development very early. When the guy who's created Scrum, the first form of Agile, he got associated with us almost 20 years back. And we became heavy Agilist in terms of so heavy Agilist means you talk about extreme programming. You talk about routing the right processes, short teams doing more, there are many principles around it. And one of the ways to achieve agility of software development, which means you write a code, it is in production. There was a time when you write a code and it's production maybe 2 years later, right? So you write a code and it's in production to be experimented, that customers like it or not, is the new future. And to do that, you have to be agile. And if you do want to do agile and extreme programming, you have to adopt something called DevOps. DevOps is a must to be agile. And DevOps is a series of practices of how you code, how you deploy your code, how you release your code, how you automated testing of your code. So continuous integration, continuous delivery was a huge concept. We picked it up so early that in 2009, we started an initiative to do a lot of, create a small product on the DevOps and release management. And we called it Xebia Labs. And it became the number one product for DevOps in the world under the name of Xebia Labs. We used to call it Excel Release and Excel Deploy. And it became number one on Gartner and Forrester for many years, ahead of Microsoft and IBM. We are very proud of it. And we actually sold it in 2017-18 to a private equity. But we created something which was top of the line for many years in that space. So we know DevOps inside out, and our whole world of software development, DevOps is integral. It is like saying that, DevOps will happen in our company, whatever you say, which means customer has a unique ability to ship their software immediately on production, right? So that's who we are, and that's the culture we have.
Okay, now this is common to all our guests on Minding My Business, the CEO story. It's called our lifestyle section, Anand. Let's start with it. We'd like to know, who's a business leader that you really admire? What are qualities in him or her that really stand out and you hope to emulate?
Well, I read about a lot, but in the current contemporary times, I think the guy who continuously inspires me is Elon Musk. How can you create so many ideas and build business around it? It almost seems surreal to me, right? So he's like an inspiration. But a person who has really impacted me continues to be Steve Jobs for forever almost, right? I mean, because it's not only about technology. Nothing is about only technology. It's about how you package it, how you sell it, how you believe in it, how you improvise it, even at the expense of sometimes going broke. That kind of passion and being a wholesome guy is a personal hero for me.
Great. Our favorites as well. What kind of music do you listen to, and what's on your playlist right now?
Well, I it's so much on my mood. Ramesh, it's sometimes I just like these the ABBAs of the world, which was like when I was very early in my school days, right? I sometimes hear that and I get certain memories around it. So it's on pure mood. So sometimes I'm driving a car and trying to find that song because I feel that I'm in that particular mood. So from that perspective, I listen to the current ones, which even my son is listening to the old ones, right from Duran to everybody. So it's a wide range, and it's very, very mood. And the same song which I love in a particular mood, I will hate it to change it in a different mood. So that's how I am.
Lovely. ABBA is evergreen, and Simon Le Bon and Duran can't go wrong with them. A book that has made or left an impact on you and why it has touched you.
It's a multiple dimensions. I mean, obviously, Autobiography of a Yogi is one book, which sort of, I read it many years back. I was impressed always. But I think now, when I am slightly older, I have a feeling as if there's something in me which is pushing me towards looking at life differently, right? I read it many years back, but I have read it in the pandemic times. I must have read it twice again.
Paramahansa Yogananda, correct.
Yeah, correct. And that, I think, is making an impact on me on who I am becoming and how I am. And, early on when I was an entrepreneur, you have more aggression, you need it all the time. But I think I'm beginning to feel, at least, the other side of this story. So that book really comes to mind right away. And other than that, there's so many others. I read like crazy, and all times, one book I recently read was Range, which talked about that who is the right guy to take your business to the next level. People who are always in one area focused, or there are people who, will do 10 other things and will come into a different area of business and think better. So that has intrigued me, because personally, from my personal experience and everything else, I sometimes feel the people who do well are sometimes people who have wobbled through their career, taking multiple different roles in completely sometimes different areas. And when they come after 10 years or 15 years of experience and work on a particular problem with you, their range is so high and their ability to solve the problem is sometimes amazing. So, I keep reading. So,
A sport you follow and your favorite player in the sport?
Well, I'm a tennis guy. I was also a national level tennis player growing up.
Wow.
And so tennis was my life for many years. And growing up, I have, when very young, Bjorn Borg, and I grew on into John McEnroe. I loved his style. Then going ahead and becoming a Becker fan, Boris Becker, and then becoming smitten by the beauty of Roger Federer. Right, and nowadays, obviously Nadal is great, but I am a fan of this guy named Alcatraz. 18-year-old guy who's come.
Carlito Alcaraz.
Yes.
Rafa Nadal calls him Carlito, but he's actually Carlos Alcaraz.
Yeah,
he's touted to be the next Nadal. Fantastic.
Oh my God! I mean, he has a bright future. I hope he doesn't get injured. But yeah, every single match. I mean, he just lost to Nadal the other day, and in the night also I went and re-saw the match. Brilliant match.
And there's a wonderful video of Roger hitting, some fine ground strokes last night in his indoor court in Switzerland. Yes. So you should go watch that if you.
Oh, is it? Okay, I will.
Yeah. So it's looking as though he's coming back. So let's see how that goes.
I'm sure he's inspired by Nadal.
Yeah, totally. Your favorite vacation spot and why you love going there, Anand?
So for me, vacation is India. I just love India, right? And I love hills, right? So I'm a guy who also doesn't want surprises. So I'm not a guy who would like to try out different locations. I would have gone to 2-3 main hill stations. I keep repeating it because when I go for vacation, the idea is not anything. I just feel great on hills. So I will go to Himachal. Uttaranchal is like my all-time favorites. I have a small home also in Dehradun. There's something in hills which is, I think, in line with my DNA.
Wonderful. It's amazing. You've been a software programmer, client engagement manager, business development professional, and now head of global IT operations. And you've navigated all those roles effortlessly.
Well, nothing was easy. It was all challenge, but yeah.
And we also love how you've handled all this transformation head on and implemented change management to turn companies into global enterprises and not just global enterprises in today's sense with strong financials as well. So thanks for being on the show. Lovely having you. And
thank you so much, Ramesh. Thank you, Hrishi K.
With that, it's time to wrap up another episode of season 2, but not before I remind you to come back to hear and learn from another major business leader next week.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, and make sure you keep listening to some great radio and podcast. Build that habit.
Minding My Business, the CEO story, shall be back with another captain of the industry who's been a path breaker. Remember, you can catch us on 94.3 Radio 1 on FM radio and on HD Smartcast in podcast form over all major streaming platforms. It's a Radio 1 production. So till next week, it's bye from me, Hrishi K.
And me, Ramesh Menon. See you soon.
94.3 Radio 1.